Aprilia's first ever in America. The season went much like that, with Oliver coming back from injury not once but twice to win, as he has 6 times before. Sorensen putting together a nearly flawless season, which ended in glory. They each return to write another story in 2003, one which ends with the final chapter in the storied history of 250 Grand Prix racing in America. One last chance on these purebred two-stroke racing machines to wear the crown as king of the high banks. It's next on Speed.
Live from Daytona International Speedway, crowd gathering, anticipating the MBNA 250 Grand Prix race, the last running thereof, here at this most famous of America's motorcycle racetracks. We welcome you. I'm Dave Bisbane. We're live high over Victory Lane, anticipating all the action to come here today. If you've just joined us, rain washed out the Friday schedule. Friday's races have been moved to today. We will have a 5-race lineup for you live throughout the morning and well into the afternoon. Now, as a result of that, we have a combined 5-class morning warm-up, which is much longer than usual, and we had some fog and damp racetrack conditions this morning that have postponed or delayed morning warm-up. So the start of our first race, the MBNA 250 Grand Prix class, has been moved back a little bit, postponed if you will. The Pro Honda Oil Super Sport class will follow, and the races will just run one after another. This was the original schedule. BMW Motorrad will be the last race before we move to the Daytona 200, and we'll be previewing the 200 for you. I suspect they will try to get that race started pretty close to 1 o'clock. The laps of some of the preliminaries have been shortened up a little bit, or the lap count, the number of laps they'll run. The dessert for today will be the genuine Suzuki Accessory Superstock race that will run immediately following the 200. So that's your lineup. If you are a fan, a lover of the 250 class, this is a sort of happy, sad day. Happy because we get to see the all-time great racing at Daytona again. Rich Oliver missed the race last year because of a crash. Sad because this will be the last time the class will appear here. For more, let's go to the guys who will call the action. High over Daytona International Speedway, Brian Dreber and Dave Sadowski.
Thank you very much, Dave. I think in 250 GP ski, it looks, we can't exactly call it a heavyweight title fight, although Rich Oliver and Chuck Sorensen are heavyweights in their relative class, but it really is a title fight between two men who are going to go, we hope, toe-to-toe, lap by lap, right down to the wire.
Well, I mean, this is for the final bragging rights in the 250 Grand Prix class. If these two guys get their pride up a little bit, we'll see some banging between Sorensen and Oliver. It's going to be the last chance they're going to have an opportunity to do it. But if those guys would take each other out, look for the 111 of Simon Turner, the Northern Ireland rider. He's right in there. He's just a few clicks off lap time-wise, but it could be a 3-rider race.
They'll both be on the front row, one on one side and one on the other. They gridded by points. Sorensen finished first last year and Rich Oliver fourth. Now, Rich Oliver is the most unbelievable rider in 250 GP history, at least here in the United States. Look at the list. 60 wins, 5 here at Daytona, 4 250 GP titles. Chuck Sorensen has 3 titles, so it's kind of a rubber match of sorts between them for the championship, but it's no contest for Daytona wins. Chuck Sorensen's first and only victory came here last year, giving Aprilia its first win as well in the class. The bike is very fast. Rich Oliver and Chuck Sorensen know each other very well, and it's the kind of race that you really do hope that both of them survive all the way to the finish line and are able to go at it and give us a great show. Let's go downstairs once again now to Greg White.
Thanks, Brian. Down here with the man. Rich Oliver has been coming to Daytona since you're about 18 years old, so this is quite a few of them, huh?
Yeah, it sure is, Greg. I love it here. This might be the last one for us. I hope not, but if it is, I'm really just enjoying every minute. We had a great morning session. It feels good. I feel ready to go. I want to ride. We've been sitting around in the rain too long.
Well, we are getting ready to ride, and I believe Ralph Shaheen's got Chuck Sorensen down there. Is that right?
Well, actually, I've done the trifecta, the hat trick when it comes to American World Champions. I've ended up with the king now, Kenny Roberts. Kenny, let's talk a little bit about racing here at Daytona. We're starting off with the 250 race right now. What do you think is going to be the key to that one?
What's that?
What do you think is going to be the key to the 250 race, which is the first one we're showing today?
The draft. Daytona is all about draft.
And if you were giving a tip to a guy racing in the draft here today, what would be the things you'd be telling him to do when he's sitting behind the windscreen?
The only one thing, you don't want to come out of that chicane bleeding it.
Well, good luck to your guys here today, and good luck when you start the MotoGP season. King Kenny Roberts here today. Dave?
Kenny Roberts, who remains the worst interview in motorcycle racing if he's got something else on his mind, and the best interview in motorcycle racing if he's geared up to talk to you. What's up with Kenny? I talked to him the other day. He says the Proton is coming along, but it's a very frustrating development process. Rob Muzzy is helping with that, and we will expect to see that new bike at Japan for the GP opener. We'll be right back.
Our customers like a website that works instantly, like Progressive.com, where you can get a quote on car insurance and buy a policy right online. Visit Progressive.com today.
I wonder how our home equity loan's going.
I'll check. Here you go, sir. Thank you. Lower, please. Mr. Bradley was in the lead, but now it's looking like Davis.
Want banks to compete over you? Come to LendingTree.com. Receive home equity rates as low as 4%.
Well, that's not going to help you, Bradley.
When banks compete, you win at LendingTree.com.
Are you near a phone? Can you take down a number? Then call to find out about term life insurance at some of the lowest rates available from top-rated companies across the United States. A 35-year-old man could get a $100,000 policy for less than $12 a month. A 40-year-old man could get $1 million policy for less than $38 a month. For your free quote, call now.
Call Matrix Direct, 1-800-390-3016.
Live at Daytona International Speedway, warm-up continuing here for the 750 race. It'll be the last race of the day. Our focus will be the first race of the day, and that, of course, is the MBNA 250 GP class. Last time those bikes will appear here at Daytona International Speedway, and a bit of a, as we said, a happy, sad kind of experience. So many great memories of this class over the years. It used to be an international competition. It used to be heavily contested by the Yamaha factory team on those Bumblebee 250s. That's all part of the history. It used to be part of the biggest doubleheader in motorcycle racing, the lightweight 250 race on Saturday, followed by the Supercross race in the afternoon. Last year's race, of course, was a bit of an anticlimax because we didn't get to see Rich Oliver race. He had the crash in practice that precluded his opportunity to go out there and do battle in the main event. This year, he's back. There's the bike being prepped, and he's healthy and looking forward to the race today. So let's go back topside to Brian Dreber.
Thanks a lot, Dave. Once again, my broadcast partner, Dave Sadowski, has some history with 250 GP racing too, and it's it's quite rich with all kinds of interesting things.
Yeah, the majority of the field, Brian, you got soul surfers, the guys that go out there and ride the big waves just for the pure pleasure of doing it. The majority of the field in 250 is like that. These guys are the sole riders of the AMA, and that's why it's going to be sad to see him go. Guys like Greg Esser on the 26, you'll have to watch him today, and the number 19 at John France. These guys have been bringing bikes even in the trunk of their car sometime to get to the racetrack. So the sole riders are the makeup of the 250 class.
We even have the son of former Daytona winners in 250 GP. All of that is part of the rich history of 250 GP racing, the class which has the richest history of them all. The history of 250 GP racing at Daytona predates every other track in America by at least 2 decades. The first Daytona winner on a 250 was the late Dick Hammer on a Harley-Davidson in 1963, an Ermachi actually. The 250 GP winners of the 60s also included Bugsy Mann, Gary Nixon, and Yvonne Duhamel, men who are much better known for their exploits in other disciplines of the sport. But so it was back then. A racer was a racer, and if there was a race, somebody had a bike ready, and you climbed on it, if your name was Mann or Nixon or Duhamel. Kel Carruthers ushered in the 70s with a pair of wins, and in that same decade, Gary Fisher, Don Castro, future world champion Steve Baker, super tuner Skip Axland, and some guy named Kenny Roberts all turned the trick on little two-smokers. Of course, Kenny Roberts won 3 World 500 GP titles soon after his pair of wins at Daytona on the quarter-liter machines. In the 80s, many of the tracks currently visited by the AMA began to host 250 GP races, and men whose names would forever be associated with these machines became Daytona winners. They included world champions Eddie Lawson, Wayne Rainey, Freddie Spencer, and John Kosinski, as well as international riders who came to America to add Daytona to their list of credentials, including the legendary Anton Mang. Beginning in 1990, Rich Oliver put his name in the book alongside those who had done so before him. Colin Edwards' only Daytona win was on a 250, and Jim Felice won twice more for a total of 3. Felice would also win the first of 3 250 titles in 1991. A decade later, he won his 3rd. While Rich Oliver and Chuck Sorensen have defined the 250 GP class for the last decade, it has been Oliver who has defined success at Daytona. 3 consecutive wins in the mid-90s to go along with 4 straight titles helped make Oliver the winningest rider in a single class in AMA history. And in American motorcycle racing, no class has history like 250 GP. So 250 GP Racing will come to you live on Speed here. As soon as the bikes line up, we will go racing in this historic class. Stay with us, please.
Ever wondered what it's really like to be a soldier?
What do you got? I have a sit rep from Alpha Company. PT, ready to be verified. Verified.
Put yourself in the picture with this free video. You'll see over 200 great jobs in the Army and over 180 in the Army Reserve. You'll also see what skills you learn, how you can earn money for college, even what soldiers do in their free time. Call 1-800-984-ARMY now and get this free t-shirt and your free video. Put yourself in the picture and see what it's really like to become an Army of One.
Friday on Speed.
I can't push you around now. Let's go.
The NASCAR Craftsman Truck Series
Bumping and banging, battling through.
takes on the track too tough to tame. A close finish at Daytona was just the beginning.
Crawford making the pass, and Crawford wins the Daytona 250.
Now, the NASCAR Craftsman Truck Series takes on Darlington. The Craftsman 200, live from Darlington, today at 4, only on Speed.
Imagine if you could reduce the interest rate on your credit cards by half or more.
Interest on our cards used to be 21 to 23%.
They were impossible to pay down.
Get your unsecured debt paid off in 3 to 5 years.
Before Cambridge, it would have taken me 15 to 20 years to get out of debt. With Cambridge, I'll be debt-free in 4.5 to 5 years.
Reduce your monthly payments.
I couldn't keep up with my payments anymore. Cambridge lowered my monthly payments so that I'm able to manage it.
Get cash back through the Good Payer program just by paying your bills on time.
We've gotten 3 checks so far. One for $230, another for $135.
And the last one was $150, just for paying on time every month.
Cambridge Credit Counseling is a non-profit service. They'll work with you and your creditors to reduce your monthly payments. It's a fresh start.
A phone call, a couple of faxes, and we were done.
It's not like bankruptcy, which hurts your credit. Cambridge is the solution we've been praying for.
Give Cambridge Credit Counseling a call. Find out how good it feels to be debt-free.
The 250 GP race at Daytona is brought to you by Chevy Trucks, the most dependable, longest-lasting trucks on the road. We have bikes on the track. Let's go topside to Dreber and Sadowski.
Bikes on the track, that's a good sign. The sun is out, the people are in the grandstands, and we are ready for what we think is going to be the final MBNA 250 Grand Prix race here at the Daytona International Speedway. So pull up a chair and take part in a little piece of history. Little because these quarter-liter machines, 15 cubic inches of pure raw horsepower, make racing at Daytona an awful lot of fun, Ski.
It's going to be real exciting here on the first lap. I told you about the soul riders out there. Well, the AMA is trusting these guys to go out and see the condition of the racetrack after all the rain we've had down here at Daytona. But guys mentioned down the pit, the racetrack is green. Freddie Spencer saying that that's the biggest thing everybody has to get used to. You have to go out there and carve a line. So these 250s will be the first guys here at Daytona to carve the new line in the green racetrack.
Well, rain took out the qualifying session, so they did not qualify by time. Instead, it was by last year's points. So Chuck Sorensen, the defending champion, is on pole with Perry Melnichuk, who was the runner-up in the championship. Ed Sorbo is there alongside, and Rich Oliver, the bookend on the outside of the front row.
Inside row 2, Colin Jensen next to my buddy John France. Chris Piles has got Jason DeSalvo's machine from last year next to Stephen Boline, another Honda.
DeSalvo's bike was on pole. Take a look at the rest of the starting grid. It is one of the larger classes that is run here. A total of 50 men and machines. You will see youngsters and you will see veterans out there. When you get to bike number 23, that is Justin Long, son of 1985 Daytona GP winner John Long. So there's a lot of history and a lot of heritage among the men and the machines that will be racing here. Mostly Yamahas and Hondas, although the Aprilia of Chuck Sorensen has been consistently fast, and there are a couple more of them in the field as well. So we're looking for a tremendous race here, primarily between the two men who will start opposite one another on the front row, Chuck Sorensen and Rich Oliver. We can't exactly call it the rubber match by definition because Rich has won here 5 times, Chuck only once. Rich has 4 championships, Chuck only 3. It's a long way to the end of the season, but we will follow that story for you throughout. Let's take a look at the track that they will be racing on. Ski, it's changed just a little bit for 2003.
The hollowed ground of the Daytona 200-mile race, but first starting off with 250s. Take a look at the infield section. Everybody's familiar with how the NASCARs go around, but I tell you what, taking a bike wide open in 6th gear, run down to turn 1, it's the hardest braking you'll ever see. Tire wheel spin up through 2. International horseshoe is known at turn 3. The kink at turn 4, very, very high speed, hard braking and overtaking at 5. Then the real difficult section is driving out onto the banking at turn 6. A very weird corner that rolls off camber. It's got a big bump in the middle of it. Up into top gear, down to the chicane. It's a little bit shorter here. Speeds at the apex of the chicane are down, but the speed at the straightaway on the start-finish line are up.
Doing the hustle on pit road for us all day, except when he's racing, will be Greg White. Greggy.
Thanks, Brian. Here's the thing. Pit lane, which is the starting grid, is drying right now, and these track sealers, some of them are wet where the rear tires are. Some guys may have an advantage over others. Tires may be spinning on the start. Let's see what happens. Back up to you guys. Brian?
So traction off the start, an issue in ski with these little tiny little machines. They put very minimal clutches in them, and they really only have to get away from the line one time, but sometimes that once is more than enough.
Again, with the tall gearing, it's really hard to get these bikes off the line. My first time here in '85, I thought I was going to make a run for my first Daytona victory, but didn't even make it past turn 1. Fried the clutch.
All right, well, the front row is occupied. There's number 111, and we spoke about Simon Turner, and he's actually back a ways in the field, but he will be one of those trying to get a run at the guys up front. So Simon Turner, we're looking square at the rider from Ireland. And on the outside of him, rider number 6. The flag is up, the lights are green, the race is away. Chuck Sorensen, the pole sitter, with a great start on the inside, but then he missed a shift or something, and instead it looks like Rich Oliver from the outside of row 1 is going to get the advantage into turn 1, looking to make an escape early. Oh yeah, that's how fast they go here at Daytona.
Into the horseshoe. Rich Oliver with some big speed, already stretching it out. He's all business here today. Chuck Sorensen's going to have a chore to catch up with him through the dogleg. Sorensen trying to get into second place, but he gets blocked by Turner. You got to watch Simon Turner here today. Sorensen around the outside, a bold move. He knows he needs to get in the wheel tracks of Rich Oliver out front to catch the draft, or he'll have no chance at winning this race. There he goes. Watch Sorensen. He'll break deep into turn 6, try to reel in that real estate.
Chuck Sorensen in second position, defending champion, carrying the number 1 on his Stargell Racing Aprilia, going after the legend, the living legend, Rich Oliver, who at over 40 years of age, you do not want to give him a lead like this on the banking, but Sorensen's machine has been consistently faster in the trap speeds. He's got a little bit of an advantage up on the banking and no disadvantage really in handling. So the man-to-man battle that we were looking for is unfolding right before your eyes.
Heavy braking, you see the Rhino front fender on the front of the 97 machine. That's directing the air around the fairing, not allowing much air to go into the radiator though, and then you see the wheel stand out of Sorensen's bike, but not making any ground. And Brian, Rich Oliver might have put a little bit different tune into the 250. These bikes are still carbureted, some of the only carbureted machines out in the field, but it doesn't look like Sorensen has the speed advantage that we spoke of earlier.
Well, Rich Oliver is so cagey and so crafty, and along with his mechanic Robert, just the two of them are the only ones that work on that bike, and they must have done just a little something here in the closing warm-up session or in the last practice sessions. He held one card apparently, and that card has given him an extra half a horsepower, which at this level might be enough. Now Chuck is pulled right up behind him, under braking going into turn one, and they are pulling away from the rest of the field.
Right now, Rich Oliver is forcing the best riding on semi-cold tires. They do have heat into both sides of the tires, but that first lap is pretty treacherous, especially on a green track. Sorensen had to take many risks, especially into the chicane and down into turn one under braking. Through the infield section, I think he knows he can relax a little bit more here and let the bike do the work instead of having to take those risks.
Simon Turner trying to stay close to the two men who've defined the class over the last decade and more. Rich Oliver's first win here at Daytona in 1990. Chuck Sorensen's first win here in 2002. But they've raced against each other for most of those years.
Rich Oliver taking a real casual look over his shoulder. You can see how relaxed he is riding these bikes with so much time in the saddle. Took a long look over at Chuck Sorensen and said, well, my first lap strategy paid off a little bit, but probably not as well as he expected.
A 15-lap race, somewhat shorter than they would have run under normal conditions, but it has been anything but normal here at Daytona this week. Right now, Rich Oliver out in front on Chuck Sorensen, who draws closer under braking than he does really under acceleration around the banking.
Well, you see he popped up a little bit later than Rich going into the chicane. See how the lean angle here with this change in the chicane, it straightens up there, but the lean angle to the right now has been increased dramatically, and you might see a little bit more heat being built up on the right side of the tire through the chicane.
Once again, up on the high banks, coming around to the start-finish line, Rich Oliver leading Chuck Sorensen, the pair of them leading Simon Turner by 2.5 seconds. And that is the race right now up front. Ed Sorbo running in fourth position, 5 seconds back, and Leon Cortez in fifth. We'll be back to Daytona for more of the MBNA 250 Grand Prix in a minute. A lot of watchful eyes on pit road.
Muffy! 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 Muffy? I found it! It's not Muffy.
Need hot water? Propane water heaters heat water twice as fast as electric ones, so you can get all the hot water you need, efficiently and affordably. Propane. Clean, efficient, exceptional energy. See what you can save with the energy savings calculator at usepropane.com.
Muffy?
Whether you call it fiscal responsibility,
$500 for paper towels.
Artful negotiation,
Bill, this isn't the price that we talked about.
Prices go up.
or simply survival,
I know we need it, but can we afford it now?
saving money is crucial to a small business owner. So we've built the savings and services of Open, the small business network, into the American Express Business Gold Card. Call 1-800-NOW-OPEN to apply. You'll save automatically every time you use your card at Staples, FedEx, Hertz, and a long list of other suppliers. Plus, you can enroll in our rewards program and earn points towards everything from vacation packages to flat screen TVs. Call now, and we can approve you in under 60 seconds. And we'll waive the annual fee for the first year. The American Express Business Gold Card. Call 1-800-NOW-OPEN and see how quickly your savings and rewards points can add up.
When it comes to NASCAR, you can't get closer than Trackside.
They thunder down that back straightaway.
Speed Channel, your home of NASCAR TV, puts you at the track with the guys who will take it on. Trackside at Darlington, tonight at 7, only on Speed.
You want to see racing at Daytona? Take a look at this battle for fourth position. Ed Sorbo, Chris Piles, Jeff Wood, and Leon Cortez. A four-bike battle that developed now has come down to two, and you can see the number 6 bike of Ed Sorbo. He is one of the contenders for this championship and for the win here. But just everybody's racing really for third behind Chuck Sorensen and Rich Oliver. Turner doing the best job up in third, but look at these guys going after it in traffic.
Multi-bike drafting going on. Jeff Wood's got to stay in Sorbo's draft. He doesn't have the straightaway speed. Sorbo really good through the infield section, but there goes Jeff Wood right around the outside into the International Horseshoe. Jeff and Eric Wood with tons of time down here at Daytona on all different kinds of machines. Jeff really focusing his efforts on the 250. Back up front, it is tightened up big time. Sorensen really reeling in Rich Oliver under braking, especially down into turn one. And by the time they get back out onto the banking, watch Oliver pick up the throttle just a tad earlier and stretch out a 2-bike length lead over what he had in the infield.
Too early to call this a strategy by Chuck Sorensen, but indeed Oliver seems to have a little extra juice down the straightaways and on the banking. But we also heard Kevin Schwantz say that you don't want to be leading unless you're leading by 15 seconds coming out of the chicane on the last lap. So Sorensen might just be softening him up a little bit, staying back there, not showing him the wheel, not really dicing with Oliver, and perhaps lulling him into a sense of security. Here's the battle for 4th place, and it is still Sorbo, Wood, Cortez, Piles. They're all lined up on the racetrack right now. And this is tight racing in 250 GP for 4th position on the track. Leading it now is Jeff Wood out of Mansfield, Massachusetts on the Betancourt's Yamaha. And just behind him is Sorbo, also on a Yamaha, sponsored by Bridgestone and Silcoline. You can see how tight the racing is among these men on these purebred racing machines.
The 71 of Chris Piles is right ahead of the 5, Perry Melnichek. All veteran 250 riders here. And this is 3 bikes wide on the banking. Ralph talked with Kenny Roberts. It's all about drafting. Watch him tuck back in, and you try to see the air and feel the air. The 250 bikes are probably the most aerodynamic machines in the field, so their air pockets are a little bit smaller than the Superbike and Supersport machines. But this is where you learn the art. This is where you learn the craft of road racing in the 250 class. Big speed down into turn 1. You don't even feel comfortable until you finally get it straightened back up. A little bit of wheel spin. You can't see it much on television, but you can definitely feel it while you're riding.
Coming up on some traffic. What a great move by Sorbo. And we're looking there at the number 8 bike of Leon Cortez. He's involved in that battle. Back up front, and now Sorensen has definitely shown Rich Oliver a shadow of a wheel, if not a wheel itself, as they continue to race nose to tail in the duel for the lead and the win here. The final win of the 250 class at Daytona, should plans continue to be as they are right now. What great racing.
Up on the high banks above that, the right lane is the fast lane here at Daytona, up above that white paint stripe. Sorensen struggling to catch up with Rich Oliver, but he knows if he can keep that distance, he's going to sandbag Oliver, really not show Rich Oliver the speed of the Aprilia until the last lap, and it's going to come as a surprise. And these guys are not shy about weaving and cutting each other off, even though there's a sportsman kind of unwritten rule about doing that.
Well, they know each other very well. They were teammates at one time. They were friends before they became rivals. And now they are rivals for the final win in the class at Daytona.
Is the IRS threatening to seize your car, home, bank account, or even garnish your wages because of unpaid taxes? Act now to protect your money, your property, and even your freedom. Call American Tax Amnesty, 1-800-351-8500. Your IRS nightmare can be over. We will defend your right to settle with the IRS for pennies on the dollar. Call now for your free confidential tax analysis. Protect yourself while there is still time.
Attention smokers. Now you can kick the habit in just 7 days, or we'll pay you $100. Introducing Smoke Away, the stop smoking system that really works.
It's safe, it's highly effective. I've had tremendous success with my patients using the Smoke Away program.
Hundreds of thousands have already taken us up on our bet.
I was on the patch for 5 months with absolutely no results. I did Smoke Away for 3 days, and I've been smoke-free ever since.
Smoke Away is all natural, and it really works.
Thanks to Smoke Away, we've been smoke-free for 2 years and saved $2,000.
The secret is Smoke Away's exclusive program that works to cleanse your body of nicotine and stop those cravings dead in their tracks. Why pay hundreds of dollars for patches and gum that just put more nicotine in your system? For less than the price of any of them, you will stop smoking in 7 days guaranteed, or we'll pay you $100. This is one bet you can't lose. Pick up your phone to order Smoke Away right now.
Wind Tunnel with Dave Despain.
Chance for you to sound off no matter what kind of racing you like.
Rant, rave, protest, praise. Dave's talking motorsports live.
Skip the lawyers, just tell us.
Wind Tunnel, tonight at 11, only on Speed.
Welcome back to Daytona International Speedway, the MBNA 250 Grand Prix with Rich Oliver, who has won here 5 times, going for a record-tying 6th win in the class. Miguel Duhamel has won 6 times in Super Sport. Rich is trying to equal that one. For Chuck Sorensen, it would be a 2nd consecutive victory and a 2nd one for Aprilia. There's a lot at stake for these 2 men and a lot of pride under those 2 helmets.
We're at the opening here in our Good Morning Show. We're talking about tire management. Watch Rich Oliver with track management. The 250s can go a different line from Super Sport and Superbike. Rich Oliver up on the banking that last time by, went way down low, down on the apron. Rich Oliver's trying to find the shortest way around this racetrack, and he's doing it rather well. He's able to stretch out about 10 more bike lengths over Chuck Sorensen. But Oliver, the crafty veteran, using the shortest way around. It's paying off for him, and Sorensen's going to have to go to school and watch and follow the lines of the 97 machine.
Using traffic extremely well, too. Went past Sean Murray, rider out of Canada, on the 85 machine. Coming up behind Chris Reynolds on a Honda 250, the Rising Sun Cycles bike out of Connecticut. But, you know, traffic is just a constant problem. But these two guys are so much faster than everybody else that they can really very quickly size up where they have to go around those other bikes and really concentrate primarily on each other.
Well, they're already getting into lap traffic on lap 5 and lap 6 here at Daytona. It just goes to show you just how much more superior these guys are at building their bikes and, of course, cracking open that throttle and just sticking it to it. Into the chicane. Rich Oliver coming up on some more lap traffic. Sorensen, I believe, is just sandbagging Rich Oliver. He's just sitting back there. He knows that Aprilia's got a few miles an hour, but it's a toss-up right now. Is he sandbagging, or did they make a last-minute change? Look at that, Oliver. You want to talk about using the draft? That's using the draft up to about a quarter inch away from the guy ahead of you. This is what I'm talking about. He's managing the track perfectly.
Let's go downstairs. Ralph Shaheen with a little more. Ralphie.
Now, that ski's a pretty sharp guy, and, you know, I just talked to Rocky Stargell, who owns Sorensen's bike, about that very issue. I said, were you surprised to see Oliver jump out? He says, no, he always does that, whether it's practice, qualifying, racing, doesn't matter. He goes quickly like that. I said, are you comfortable with your setup? He said, very. We think we have a little bit left in the bike. We hope to be able to reel him in without much trouble.
So Rich Oliver, the crafty veteran who said he will retire at the end of this year. He has no interest in going racing in any other class. He's going to be running his mystery schools out west, and says he's found a new career after one of the longer careers in all of professional racing.
I tell you what, Ralph, I think Sorensen might be a little overconfident in his bike right now. So with Rich Oliver probably is fully aware that Sorensen's bike's got a few mile an hour on the top. That's why you see him trying so hard, but Sorensen looks a little bit too casual back there following Oliver. Here's the battle for fourth, raging again. Jeff Wood going at it with Sorbo. Sorbo just able to keep up with Wood through the infield, but really stretching the legs on that number 8 250 up on the banking. Excuse me, number 6.
Ed Sorbo on the 6 bike has really become the primary advocate for the continuation of this class. Rich Oliver has been very outspoken in his defense of 250 GP racing, but Ed Sorbo sat alongside Rich Oliver the other night and has really kind of taken up the sword, if you will, for keeping the class alive in AMA racing. Whether or not that happens, we certainly applaud Ed's effort, and we as much as anyone would like to see 250 GP racing remain. But two-stroke machines are just kind of going the way of the dodo with EPA rules and whatnot. And even though it's some of the better racing, it just does not have the support by the manufacturers and the factories that the other classes do.
Well, it won't completely go away. There's been talk with cooperation between AMA and WERA, the Western Eastern Racing Association. So they'll have a home. They just have to find a new one.
Up front, the battle is just as good as this one for fourth. And Simon Turner running all alone in third position. The leaders are still Rich Oliver and Chuck Sorensen. The duel on the high banks.
Are you near a phone? Can you take down a number? Then call to find out about term life insurance at some of the lowest rates available from top-rated companies across the United States. A 35-year-old man could get a $100,000 policy for less than $12 a month. A 40-year-old man could get $1 million policy for less than $38 a month. For your free quote, call now.
Call Matrix Direct, 1-800-390-3016.
How much money do you owe today? $4,000? $6,000? Over 10? Credit card bills? Personal loans?
How long has it been? Feel any better than last month? The month before?
The plain and simple is life adds up. The answer is you don't have to just deal with it.
You can do something about it now, today, which could make every day better and bring you closer to becoming debt-free.
Call or visit for Care One Credit Counseling right now.
It won't cost you a penny. There are no upfront fees. It's a non-profit service.
Our guarantee is that we will treat every person with honesty, understanding, and respect.
Humility, humanity, and caring.
If you allow us to help, and you do your part, you will lower your monthly bills.
You'll feel better right away, and you'll be on your way to becoming debt-free.
You can do it. Care One will help.
Don't put it off any longer. Don't wait until it hurts. Raise your hand up, say no more, and make the call or visit online today.
Care One for you.
Well, we've pretty much taken over Speed Channel here today with two-wheeled action. But for you four-wheel fans, next Friday the 14th, it's going to be the NASCAR Craftsman Truck Series from Darlington. So stay tuned here on Speed for all the racing action that's worth seeing. We've got it for you from top to bottom. Rich Oliver seems to have taken command of this race with just under a 2-second lead over Chuck Sorensen. And if Sorensen was sandbagging Rich Oliver, they ought to give him an Oscar instead of the trophy, because if he's going around at 98% throttle opening, he's got more discipline than I could manage, that's for sure.
Definitely just a little bit too confident in the speed of his bike. And of course, Rich Oliver, having that information before the start of the race, he's just going to town. Now he's looking back saying, man, all right, it's working. I'm buzzing these guys in lap traffic, and he's spooking them. They're all jumping out in front of Sorensen. Sorensen's getting balked here through turn 6. That's just time. That's just getting eaten up by the lap traffic, whereas Rich Oliver's cutting them through pretty easy.
Sean Ray from New Hampshire, from Bow, New Hampshire, on the A1 Sports Center Yamaha, is the one that just went a lap down. Again, all of the standings scrolling across the top of the screen, and where they are right now versus where they qualified. So you can keep track of riders who are moving forward in the order or whether they are losing positions. Coming around the 53 of Gary Burbaum, and masterfully trying to get by, but he's going to have a problem. Then he finally punches it past. Beerbaum is riding his line. Rich tried one side and then the other, and neither one of them were working all that well.
Yeah, all the work he just did through the infield got gobbled up right there. Coming out onto the banking from the chicane is one of the most crucial areas, probably more so than the turn 6 drive up onto the banking. But Oliver, cool, calm, and collected, just kind of gathers it back up. No big deal. Stays tucked in tight all the way down to his braking reference.
Let's take another look at a close call for Rich Oliver here just a moment ago.
This shows you the change in the chicane has made it really hard to pass people. You used to be able to gas it past somebody, and then you'd be set up on the inside to outdrive him on the banking. Oliver maybe just having a little flashback there of the old times in the chicane, and just got caught up big time there. Gary Burbaum out of Washington, New Jersey, just kept on his line. No, he did a good job.
Coming up behind Corey Gill out of Washington now, as riders are going down one after the other. Gill running in 16th position. So Rich Oliver is unwinding the field pretty heavily here. And as soon as he gets past Gill, he'll have only 15 riders on the lead lap with him. Pretty clean pass that time. Normally Oliver able to wheelie out of the chicane. Here we go back to Chuck Sorensen, 2.8 second, and the battle for fourth behind them all is the one that's really lighting us up here at Daytona.
Look at Perry Melnichek up the inside here. He sits back behind Sorbo, but these guys are working it pretty hard right now.
Melnichek second in the championship last year on his number 5 machine, a Sun Sports Yamaha. He was teammate to Rich Oliver last year, but they've split up and they're under 2 separate tents this time around. Colin Jensen also doing a great job there. He's in the 4th place position, leading Melnichek right now. Again, Simon Turner, probably the loneliest man on the Daytona International Speedway. He's all alone in 3rd. He almost got up there with Sorensen and Oliver at the beginning of the race, but he fell back and now he's all by himself. Chris Jensen in 4th position, Sorbo 5th, Melnichek 6th, and Piles 7th when they went across start-finish line last time, but they've shuffled that order pretty seriously on this lap. Here they come around the traffic. 128 machine leading the lap riders there. Samantha Cotter, female rider, a professional Corp Search Honda 250. We do have men and women racing here at Daytona this weekend in almost every class.
Whoa! Wide driving out. That was a little tight right there. Colin Jensen, got to give a nod to him. He just kind of came out of nowhere, Brian, and worked his way past Sorbo and up to Melnichek, but he's got some speed as well. I think if he'd have got off the line a little bit better, Simon Turner might not have been so lonely out there in 3rd position.
Perry Melnichek on the number 5 machine, up high on the banking and under braking, going down into turn number 1. Riders he's racing with are behind him. Riders he's trying to get around are in front of him. That's the way it is here at Daytona.
Are you still struggling with old-fashioned garden hoses? They're a bulky, twisted mess. But those new flat hoses won't work unless you unroll them completely. And the fabric tears apart in seconds if it catches on anything sharp. But now there's Jiffy Hose. It has all the convenience of a flat hose with none of the problems. You can extend Jiffy Hose from a few feet to an incredible 50 feet or anywhere in between. It'll work perfectly every time, even if most of the hose is still on the reel. And when you're done, it rolls back up in seconds, wet or dry. And look at this. We can drag the Jiffy Hose through a bed of nails without it snagging or tearing. Even if you tie it in a knot, the water will continue to flow through it. The secret is this inner chamber construction with 4 separate water channels. It makes Jiffy Hose tougher and more reliable than any other hose on the market. You can stand on it, ride over it, and it keeps on flowing. Look, here's an ordinary hose, a flat hose, and the Jiffy Hose side by side. And this is a steamroller. Ouch! Right on top of the hoses. You guessed it, only the Jiffy Hose is still flowing. You get a full 50 feet of hose, complete with a built-in reel, all for only $19.95. It comes complete with this incredible lifetime guarantee. If your Jiffy Hose ever breaks, we'll replace it free. But wait, call now and we'll include the Jiffy Hose Power Spray Head with 6 different settings. Everything from a full shower to a gentle mist to a powerful jet. Use it by hand or set it for convenient self-watering. This multi-setting spray head is a $9.95 value, but it's yours free with the Jiffy Hose. So don't delay. Order yours now.
To order your Jiffy Hose, have your credit card ready and call 1-800-613-0541. Or send check or money order for $19.95 plus shipping and handling to Jiffy Hose, 6960 Eastgate Boulevard, Lebanon, Tennessee. Or call 1-800-613-0541. That's 1-800-613-0541.
The master of 250 GP racing in America is back in the saddle again here in total control of this race. The MBNA 250 Grand Prix at Daytona International Speedway. The defending race champion and class champion Chuck Sorensen is chasing, but that chase is somewhat futile right now. He's losing about 1.5 seconds to 2 seconds a lap here in the late going, and apparently the Stargell Racing Aprilia team just flat missed the jetting setup here today. That's just horsepower on the banking that's losing Chuck Sorensen all that ground.
6.7 seconds this man has got over Chuck Sorensen in second place. Rich Oliver just steadily just working it, crossed up wheelie out of the chicane area. Great camera work back there by the speed crew. And you see him up here, he'll use a little bit of the high part of the banking and then drive down low. He's still shortcutting the track. Then Oliver up the front straightaway, down on the apron. The flag guy's got to jump out of the way when Oliver comes by the start-finish stripe. Little lap rider action there. Right, nice and tight by the flag station. Oliver, one of the deepest braking riders into turn 1.
Although we did see Sorensen out-braking Rich in turn 1 early when they were nose to tail. Going past the number 46 machine of Mark Vanderwerf out of Minnesota. And let's take another look at Rich Oliver coming out of the chicane. This isn't necessarily putting on a show. This is just what the bike does.
Yep, unloading the bike from the right, back to the left with the throttle pinned.
Oh.
And then it bounces back down the ground, little shake through the handlebars. Man, there's just no better feeling than that when you're riding. It's just like a woohoo, baby.
Oh, man. Rich Oliver out in front big time right now with 2 laps to go. He doesn't really have an issue. Chuck Sorensen continues to lose ground. He's 10.8 seconds back the last time they crossed the start-finish line. We're going to go back and have a look at Chuck Sorensen here in just a moment and see how the defending champ is doing. You got to go a ways back to find him. 2 lap riders in between, and there's Chuck.
These must have some big problems. I don't think lap traffic can knock him back 2 seconds per lap, Brian.
No.
Now we're looking at 10.8 seconds. He is short shifting the bike, so there might be some kind of vibration with the number 1 bike. But Sorensen wants to finish and get some points. And that's the best thing he can do on this day because Rich Oliver is unstoppable.
And on a 250 GP machine with the jetting is so crucial. You want it to be lean enough to make power, but not so lean that it tries to seize on you. We're not sure which direction Sorensen's bike is going right now, whether it was too rich, too fat, they call it, putting too much fuel, which tends to help cool the engine, or too little fuel, which tends to make it run hot.
It's a big toss-up. Also, these guys have they have the option of putting duct tape across the radiator to try to bring up the temperature, and that can give you like a half a jet size adjustment. the many uses of duct tape. White flag out for Rich Oliver. This guy just completely dominant here today.
He's one lap away from victory number 61 in his unmatchable career in 250 GP competition. He has more wins in a single class than any other rider ever.
Rich tried to go to Superbikes early on, back in the mid-'80s. Rich came over to me and said, you know, we ride 250s or whatever. When are you going to make your move? I said, I'm going in next year, man. I'm going to start to learn how to ride 4-strokes. And Rich and I would always trade information, but he always found his home back on these 250s, and now you know why. 61 victories, absolutely amazing. Nobody will ever touch it, now especially that the class is going elsewhere.
Going for a record 6th win, a record-tying 6th.
Look at this gap, Brian.
Win here at Daytona, and the gap is just absolutely impossible to make up at this point unless Rich Oliver has a major and catastrophic mechanical problem. Chuck Sorensen is going to have to settle for second. It's way too early to talk about the championship at this point. Oliver has 4, Chuck Sorensen 3. They're going for the final one, and Rich Oliver is going for his 6th win here at Daytona, and it doesn't look like anyone is going to stop him at this point.
All right, if he's been trained by Kenny Roberts, he's got to give a peace sign going through the chicane here on the way out. He's got a lapped rider he's got to deal with. No showing off whatsoever. Short shifting it. Getting up in the tuck there. Rich Oliver's making sure that he brings this one home in one piece.
No show. It's all business for Rich Oliver as he brings the number 97 around. The Team Oliver Yamaha Mystery Schools Yamaha 250 is going to be the winner at Daytona here today. And for the 6th time, if Chuck Sorensen was holding some cards, he didn't have any cards to play. Rich Oliver wins at Daytona for the 6th time, and he will stand atop the podium in a very familiar position. His mechanic Robert is right there to share in the honor. There's only 2 of them that work on this team. Rich and Robert have done it again. Now he can put on a show.
Yeah, man. Way to go. Just so good to see him back and healthy again. He had that injury at Sears Point. I was amazed to see him even come back last year, but this guy, I always say Aaron Yates defines road racer, but I think Rich Oliver's right up there in the same class as the Yates and the Duhamels.
If there is a tougher man in all of motorcycle racing, he's probably sitting next to me in this booth, but Rich Oliver broke his pelvis at Daytona last year and came back to race 2 months later. He had a compound fracture of his right arm and came back to win 4 weeks after that. That is an amazing performance by anybody's standards, and considering that, still finished 4th in the championship.
Battle for 5th. You want to see some textbook draft and pass move here. That's what Perry Melnichek's counting on right now. Melnichek coming up on Sorbo, the number 6 machine.
Watch him get closer.
He's reeling him in, Brian. He might have a shot at him.
If he times it perfectly, he'll finish 5th.
He's got him, Brian. Watch this.
If he doesn't, he'll finish 6th. Ed Sorbo doing everything he can, and Perry Melnichek is trying to get him across the line. Here they come, right there, and it's too close to call from that angle as Melnichek ducked down low. Sorbo says, way to go, Perry. And he is happy about it. Apparently, according to the body language, if I'm reading it right, Ed Sorbo held him off, and that's what scoring says too. By the narrowest of margins, a drafting battle for 5th place provides a little bit of final entertainment as Perry Melnichek reaches for the hand of Ed Sorbo. 2 friends will be rivals again. You can guarantee it sometime later on in this 2003 Swan Song season for 250 GP racing.
So much fun out there aboard the 250s. Rich Oliver heading through the chicane here. We're going to show you something very impressive about Rich Oliver as he salutes the crowd. Take a look at this.
At Daytona, look at the names that are on that list behind Rich Oliver, way behind. Jimmy Felice, who we spoke to a little earlier today with 3 wins. Dick Hammer won the first 2 races here on a Harley-Davidson or Aramaki. Yvonne Duhamel, his son, will be racing. They have been father and son winners here, along with Floyd and Don Emdy. Kel Carruthers, Kenny Roberts, Eddie Lawson, and this man is at least twice as good as all of them at Daytona on a 250 GP machine. Rich Oliver, the master of the 2-strokes, has won again. We'll pay him homage when we return.
Ever wondered what it's really like to be a soldier?
What do you got? I have a sit rep from Alpha Company. BT, ready to be verified. Verified.
Put yourself in the picture with this free video. You'll see over 200 great jobs in the Army and over 180 in the Army Reserve. You'll also see what skills you learned, how you can earn money for college, even what soldiers do in their free time. Call 1-800-984-ARMY now and get this free t-shirt and your free video. Put yourself in the picture and see what it's really like to become an Army of One.
Tonight on Speed at 8, the big guns are on the track and Speed has same-day coverage of NASCAR Winston Cup qualifying. And at 11, call in and let off some steam. Live with Dave Despain, Wind Tunnel. Tonight, only on Speed.
I couldn't pay my bills.
It was ruining my life.
I couldn't answer my own phone because of the bill collectors.
Between student loans and my credit cards, I could barely make minimums.
I knew there had to be a way out.
If you have debt problems, then call Profina Debt Solutions, the nation's largest, most experienced credit counseling service. Profina doesn't make loans. Instead, we work with over 50,000 creditors nationwide to lower your monthly payments. If you gather your bills and call one of Profina's credit counselors, within about 20 minutes over the phone, we can help you avoid bankruptcy and get the collection calls to stop.
You don't have to own a home to qualify.
Profina's nonprofit and totally confidential.
I was on the verge of bankruptcy. Soon I'll be debt-free.
They saved me over $250 a month. I just make one payment to Profina, and they take care of the rest.
Thank you, Profina. I have my life back.
There is help. Call Profina Debt Solutions. It's not a loan, it's a way out of debt.
Welcome back to Daytona International Speedway. I'm Greg White here down in Winner's Circle with Rich Oliver. Man, that was an awesome race for you. Congratulations.
Thank you, Greg, and everybody at home. I got people in California, people in Ohio watching the show, and I want to thank all you guys for rooting me on too. It feels good to know you're out there, but the Yamaha ran great. I mean, we had a fast bike, and I knew Chuck was going to be tough, and I thought, well, if I can lead it, maybe I can get a little break in traffic or something, and Chuck was just hanging tough, and I kind of eked out a little bit of a lead there, but I don't know. I mean, I'm just happy that it's over. We raced, and it feels great to win. It's a lot better than when I left last year, you know, all broken up and stuff, so it's a nice way to start the season. It's going to be a long battle with Chuck, and I know it's not going to be easy, but at least we're off to a good start.
Tell us about those crossed-up wheelies coming out of the chicane. That must have been fun.
Oh, yeah, you know, the bikes, I wish everyone could ride a 250. I mean, they're the perfect size bike. 100 horsepower, 200 pounds, 165 miles an hour, and you can just play with it like it's a little toy. So I have fun.
Well, you played with the competition like they were toys today. Congratulations on your victory, Rich.
Thank you very much. Everybody at home, thank you.
All right, back up to Brian Dreber in the booth.
All right, well, watching the Master one more time, coming out of the chicane and getting ready for the ceremony in Victory Lane. Rich Oliver and Ski, what a tremendous, tremendous race for him, and he is indeed off to a great start. Look at the mix of machines and all of the results of the race, too.
And you take a look at the rundown, there's a bunch of parity amongst manufacturers. It's going to be kind of a, like we said, a bittersweet day for 250s, but we'll see what happens with that. But I'm sure that the rest of the action on the day here on the Speed Channel is going to make sure that the 250s is not going to be a sorely missed class. The Superbike and Super Sport stuff equally as competitive.
Lots of men and women who finished this race, doing a good job out there today, and we certainly enjoyed the race. Let's go once again, Victory Lane and Greg White.
Thanks, Brian. The number one guy for 2003 is the number 2 finisher today at Daytona, but a good race for you, huh, Chucky?
Yeah, we're happy to get the Aprilia out here. It's been a kind of a long week, you know, with all the delays and the rain, but you know, my team Stargell Aprilia just worked great today, and no, we didn't have enough for him, you know, on the banking, and it's a shame, but you know, I think we got a good start for the year, and I'll take a second today. Have to.
Talk about race strategy. Was your strategy in the beginning there to hang on and then see what you could have at the end of the race?
Yeah, mainly to hang on. I mean, I saw that I wasn't able to get the same kind of drives up onto the banking to hang in his draft, and so that made it difficult. And that's, you know, as soon as traffic came around, I could only work the infield so hard.
So, well, you had a lot of points to start the 2003 season and in title of a chase of another title. Chucky, we'll let you get back up there and spray some champagne. Thanks so much.
Thank you very much.
All right, Brian, back to you.
All right, thanks a lot, Greg. Our congratulations to Chuck Sorensen. We're looking forward to seeing both Rich Oliver and Chuck Sorensen battle for the final title in 250 GP, but that's a long way away. We're a long way away from being done here today, too. How about it?
Motorcycle.